Will you open up with me? These pages, they can feed your innermost desires. Do you feel inspired? Are you getting what you need? Are you coming curiously? A secret safe with me. And here you can simply be yourself. Jay's Sweet Romance. Come on in, come on in, come on.
Hi, y'all. This is Jace, she, they, and you found Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance novels. So the post-it that I have for myself is queer romance for straight people.
Oh, I love this.
Thank you. Now, and I want to be clear that the topic we're touching on is not, do queer people deserve to tell queer stories to other queer people? Absolutely, that is not in question. And then the follow-up, can straight people enjoy queer stories written by queer humans for queer humans? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there is this little subset of queer stories that I do believe are written for straight people or have straight people in mind when they are being written.
Okay.
And I'm specifically gonna touch on, so here's my overall outline for this episode. I know I have a plan.
I'm so proud.
Thank you. It's not a big plan. Like, this isn't a big, like, it's not a thesis statement. I'm not defending a master's degree. But what potential, so like, we're going to talk about queer stories written for straight people just generally.
Yeah.
And then move into MM stories and then FF stories and why they are not treated equal and why they should be. All right?
I like this.
Thank you. Thank you. So again, big overarching statement for this episode. This is not about queer people writing queer stories for queer humans at all. And this isn't about straight people enjoying queer stories written by queer people for queer humans. Not at all. But, and I think this started with MM.
Okay.
There are many MM romances, which, if you're not familiar with that term, it means male. It means two people with penises, or yeah, I'm going to go with penises because that's the case in this. Two people with penises who like to have sex with other people with penises. Or whose sex in the book is described as two dudes touching butts, as Adib Khorram would say. And these stories are written by women for women.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna state my personal reason for enjoying them because I fucking love them.
I know you do.
And I will say this is something that I have known about myself for a very long time. A very long time. I'm very comfortable with this. And other humans, if you don't like the way that I'm phrasing it, or you also enjoy MM, but the words I use don't feel authentic to you, they don't have to. I'm not saying everyone who likes MM romance likes it for the reason that I like it, or likes the words that I'm using when I describe why I like it. But these words work for me as an individual.
Yeah.
Okay? So Here's the explanation as I enjoy in my mind. I like reading about MM romance for the same reason straight dudes like watching lesbians fucking porn. If one dude is great, two dudes are better. Now, do I envision that if I magically appeared in the scenario, they would just look at me and go, welcome? No, I don't. I don't.
Yes. Yeah, right.
I'm not envisioning that.
No.
I'm watching two people with the genitals that I find arousing, even though I find penises ridiculous. I'm still attracted to them.
Yeah.
I'm watching two people whose genitals I find arousing do sexy things together.
Mhm.
And that's hot.
Very. I 100% am on board with this. Like, I
Okay.
completely agree.
And I will admit that in my younger years, and this is the thing, like for people, because I'm now people who have known me for a while are finding this podcast. And that's an
Ooh.
interesting experience to for this. Look, I 100% have joked, why do dudes like lesbian porn? You're never getting in the middle of it.
Right.
But it's usually because they talk about like, yeah, I would love to have two lesbians like in a bed in front of me. And I'm like, you literally couldn't do anything. They don't want your dick near them.
Exactly.
And I fully understand that if there are two homosexual men in front of me, like physically, they don't want my vagina anyway. They don't want my vulva anywhere near them. They are not interested in my vulva. They will not participate in anything that I participate in. But I also admit that I'm a fucking voyeur and I would just love to watch, in general. Like, it's not about that. It's that the genitals that I want are right there being sexy, multiplied. Like, multiplied.
Yes.
And I feel like I need to pull out my human sexuality textbook. I don't know if this study was in that book or just in the course in general. That, and I think I've talked about this, that when there was this one study on arousal, and the study ended up having to shift to single sex porn when studying arousal. Because the question, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, from this course that I took when I was 21 years old, no, 20 years old.
Oh, even more.
It's been a minute, friends. It's been a minute. But the question was, is sex arousing or is sex arousing because of the sex of the people who you're watching fuck? But you can't have P and G sex because there's someone for both. And so they had to switch to single sex porn to determine whether or not their hypothesis had merit. Is sex arousing or is sex with your preferred gender arousing? And the answer was sex is arousing, but sex with your preferred gender is more arousing.
Yeah.
And that's it. I like MM romance, like, because I like the genitals that I like to be involved. Yeah. Now, my favorite is MMF to read, because then I do get to envision myself.
Yeah, right. You get to imagine that you're in.
Then I get to envision myself in the middle of the sandwich, or, just being in the room in a participatory way, even if there's a dude in the middle of the sandwich. Yes. That's why it's my favorite.
Yeah.
And, but I do want to acknowledge that I believe there is a difference between MM romance written by queer men with the male gaze, whose intended audience is queer men, and MM romance written by women for an audience that is primarily women. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really intrigued because Emily Rath has multiple MM romance, and Emily Rath is a queer woman, and her queer experience is not calling into question. But I do wonder about that. Not in a bad way. I mean, I've read some of the Pucking Ever After volumes 1 and 2, those MMC, like, those are hot as fuck. but it's different, and her audience is primarily women, and I think that's who she's writing for.
Yeah.
Versus Adib Khorram, Julian Winters, Justinian Huang. Like, those stories are not. I mean,
Right.
yeah, they're romance, and of course, women are going to read them. But I think the person at the core who they're writing for are gay men. And so, as romance, and as this podcast, and as this conversation is really about women,
Yes.
let's talk about romance. Do you have thoughts? Do you have feelings?
I love romance. I 100%. Okay, not 100%. We're gonna say like it's probably 50% for the reason that you mentioned, and 50% because I just love love, and I love people being happy in love, no matter what that looks like to them. And so, anytime, like, I'm very much a girly who likes an HEA ending. Like,
That's why we have romance.
I know,
Romance.
right? Exactly. Like, best example I can give is I saw the movie. Oh man, this is so many years ago. Talk about when you were 20. I'm talking about when I was probably like 10, 9 or 10.
What movie? Give it to me.
Message in a Bottle. It's old. So I'm going to ruin it. So spoilers, y'all, but we spoil everything on this podcast. But
Such a good time. We never spoil a good time.
So the story is about a journalist who finds a bottle in the sand with a love letter, and she tracks down the author, who is Kevin Costner.
Great.
And the movie ends with him dying in a storm.
I told you he dies. That's the way that all of these end. They always die.
I hate it. My mom still calls it the worst movie ever.
Like, P.S. I love you. He dies. I don't know. I've never. I shouldn't say that about P.S. I love you because I don't know how that one ends. But there are a lot of these like chick lit films that end with someone dying, and I think it's like almost queer baiting. Like, women don't deserve happy endings.
I know. I hate it. Yeah, but anyways.
So you watched Message in a Bottle.
Yes. And I realized I don't like it. So like I don't like it when the ending is sad. Like I really don't. So any story where they end up with a happiness and they fall in love. I remember seeing Rent for the first time, the movie. And I know I haven't seen it on stage. Please don't hurt me. But I remember seeing, I know. So, but
if you want to make me cry, like I'm crying just thinking about I cry at nothing more than like sad songs. The reprise of I'll Cover You.
And that's exactly who I'm talking about is Angel and Collins. Like that's exactly who I'm talking about. When I saw the movie and I saw them singing I'll Cover You, the original song, like the first time, I was like, they're so happy and so in love. And it just made me like, I remember getting such a giddy feeling. And then, heartbreak.
You do. It's giddy. It's beautiful. And like, I am trying so hard not to cry right now.
I know you are. I can see it.
It is one of those things that like instantly.
Like, I don't know, just that feeling of euphoria I get when I see someone happy and in love. I don't know, it's something I've always experienced. I like seeing people happy, and so romance is something I love equally for, like, yes, it is the genitalia that I'm attracted to and aroused by, and yeah, we're gonna keep that one in there. But it's also seeing these two people, whatever their gender identity is, just happy and content and with the person that makes them that way.
So I love romance, and I love that it exists. I understand. But I also, the thing about MM romance is that in general, I don't mind if women write MM romance. I don't mind if women write incredibly raunchy MM romance.
Right.
But what we have to remember is when you're writing MM romance as not an MM person, this is not you telling your story. You're not telling the story of queer humans. You're telling an MM romance. And it's not bad. It's not bad. But what we as consumers have to remember is that reading an MM romance written by women doesn't give us an understanding of what it's like to be in an MM relationship or be a gay man in the world. What we have to remember is who's writing it and why they're writing it. Because an intention to tell your story or to reach queer humans and let them know that you're not alone, like in the breakup list or X's and Foes or the Bennett women or Prince of the Palisades. And those are all YA. I'm going to be very clear. Those are all YA.
Right.
Or even, you know, like I'll Have What He's Having or Emperor in the Endless Palace. Like those are MM romances written by adult men for other adult men who fuck dudes. Like
Right.
those are the stories they're telling authentically and with intention. And something like C.E. Ritchie, like Iced Out or For the Fans by Nyla Kay, those are written for women. Are there two dudes fucking in them? Yes. Are they trying to tell an authentic story of like queer humans in the coming? I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if a Step Brothers OnlyFans enemies to lovers romance is really getting at the heart of the queer experience.
I would say that's fair.
I've heard it's one of the spiciest books I'll ever read, and will I read it? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I like still can't believe I haven't read it yet. There are some days where I'm like, how is that not on my e-reader already? But when I'm thinking about who it's written by and who it's written for, I have to remember that. I have to remember that. And MM romances written for women by women, number one, are so fucking spicy. No, I can't even say that. I can't even say that because I have read some ones that are like, is pepper too much? Is that seasoning too much? Some black pepper? We've got some. Like, you know, like
yes, it's like a tiny hint. It's not a full-on like handful of red pepper flakes.
So like I can't even say that. I can't say that, but I will say that I have read a lot. I have read a lot more Spice Fest MM books written by women than I have FF books written by women. And we can get into that in a minute because I feel like this MM thing is very unique to the romance world.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not making porn of two dudes fucking each other with women in mind.
Generally, no.
Generally, no. And so it's this very niche thing in romance. And if you are someone who does connect to why I like two dudes boning, two penises involved, I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. And if you relate to that, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with that. But you do have to, like, those I feel like are written to titillate in a different way than books written to tell an authentic queer story.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
What was it? I think it was Chokehold was the MM romance that gave me a new definition of what makes something automatically a dark romance in my book, right? Is that one?
I think so. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It was if blood is used as lube.
Yes. Yes.
Automatically dark. No one got kidnapped. A love interest did not kidnap another love interest in that book. But and so I was like, I guess this is just still morally gray. No, the minute the blood came out as lube, I was like, I'm sorry, it's dark. I can't. It's so like the lights turned off, and it is dark romance.
Yeah.
That is a great line. Like, why am I not funny or pithy on social media? Only when I can rant for a little bit. I want to then address the FF in the room, or the elephant in the room. Strike that, reverse it. Because there's this weird thing in romance reader sphere of I read queer romance but not FF. And I want you to check your privilege for a second.
Right.
With that, because if your intention is to read stories about and by queer humans, you should be reading FF, and you should have no problems reading FF.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're here because you want to feel some funny feelings in your tum-tum, and you are a heterosexual woman, heterosexuality, the worst sexuality. Whenever it is you get that theme song, then you might not get that funny feeling in your tum-tum if you're just talking about people who like vulvas. And that's fine. That's fine. But then you're not looking for queer stories. You're looking for things that titillate.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's nothing wrong with reading things that titillate.
Right.
But then you can't say you were a champion of queer romance.
100%.
Right. Did I say it in a way that feels both like accepting of people's sexual desires, but also like get the fuck out of my room?
Yeah. I mean, if someone is saying that they champion queer romance, but they're only reading MF and MM romances, it doesn't count. Because there's a whole other, like, there's a whole multitude of spectrum ends that they're not reaching out to. Like, FF, for one, there's the non-binary and the transgender, like, all of it.
All of it.
Yeah. No.
And there is a lot less sapphic being written than MM in the romance world.
Yeah.
And I think I think those of us who are primarily attracted to penises, number one, moment of mourning. Like, like have that moment of collective grief about it. Like, we can. It's sad. It's awful. But then acknowledge that it's that's why it's being written. That's who it's being written for. It's for women who would rather read about a penis than a vulva. And I do wonder, because in arguments when people are like, I only read FF, I just like a dick better. How do you feel about an MF romance when a sex scene is from a male point of view? I don't know. Like, I don't have those problems because I read all of it. Like, I love MM, but I also read FF, and I read the whole fucking spectrum as I do. But I feel like that response is always a bit shamey.
I can see that.
Like, what do you do? What do you do about the sex scenes written from the male perspective when he's face deep in a pussy? Like, okay, I get where it's coming from.
Right.
I do. Right. I get where it's coming from. Absolutely. And maybe, but like, maybe they skip over it. Maybe they disassociate. Maybe they're envisioning a partner loving on their pussy so much, but the partner is also male. Like, you don't know what's going on on both sides. You don't know the mental gymnastics that it takes to get to where they are. And then I want to talk about FF, because if we are championing queer stories, even as heterosexual people, even if that's not your chosen or your preferred genitalia, there's still no reason why you shouldn't read FF. And I remember the first couple FF books that I found and that were really popular. And this is maybe a little too much information about me, but remember the first series that I like really connected to and was like, that's the sex I want to be having was Anita Blake.
Yeah. I
Let's
was yeah.
take that moment. And if you haven't read Anita Blake, honestly, you don't have to, because it's a commitment. It's my personal, like,
That is a commitment.
semi-abusive relation. It's my abusive relationship. Like, if you want to start off lighter but kind of understand what I'm talking about, you can read Mary Gentry, which has 9 books. 10th book is coming out. I don't know. But anyway, let's just call the sex in those books not gentle. Can we do that?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Not gentle.
Not gentle.
Yeah. And that's my preference. That's my preference. I'm not even talking about kink. And there is kink in there. I'm just talking about the sex part. Is and sex and kink and that are certainly, but I don't want it gentle. And I like reading about not gentle sex. And the first forays that I took into FF were so gentle and soft, and everything was squishy. And I feel like everything was described as squishy. And I'm not talking about like body size or any, like it just, like everything about it was like so off-putting to me. It was either incredibly lightly spiced or like, it didn't do anything for me.
Right.
And so I had to step away. And my reintroduction was actually looking into darker romance with FF components to it. Because, and I'm not, like, I was like, I need rough sex. Like, I need rough sex. And I want to watch 2 women fuck each other really hard.
Right.
Like really hard. And the easiest place for me to find that was in dark romance.
Yeah.
So I found, I think I gave it to a friend. So I don't have it with me, but I found a Hades Persephone FF retelling. I found Katie Roberts, her Wicked Villain series has a bunch of FF in there, and then certainly Neon Gods as well, as we get. Actually, I don't want to talk about that because I really hated Cruel Seduction, and that was the first FF, and I hated it so much. I hated that book with a fiery passion.
Oh no.
I did. It made me almost not want to continue, but then Midnight Ruin saved me. So,
okay.
Anyway, but so with her reading or her retelling and other people, like, you can find it. And you can find the kind of sex that you're looking for because there is the breadth of it. And I think this was one of those moments where I really had to search down the indie rabbit hole because so much of what I found in the more traditional, is still very like gentle, like just the way that they
perpetuates
describe
the idea that the female, which I hate saying that, but the female is like the weaker, gentler sex. Just that idea.
I think it's okay. Other thing that we're learning so much about, Jace. I am incredibly ticklish. Like, stay with me. Stay with me.
Okay.
I am incredibly ticklish and I have violent reactions. I can't breathe. My whole body will tense up. It's not pleasant.
No.
It's really not pleasant. And so soft, caressy touches often will like tickle, and I will like, I can't stop it. I'll be like, ugh, because like my entire side has seized. And that is so unpleasant, and nothing ruins a mood faster.
Right?
Let me tell you. And so the touches that work for me are rougher. Like,
Right.
if someone's like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, "Ugh," like stop it, just no. But
This is
if
going down
someone's
a road you don't want to
grabbing,
see the ending of.
yeah, this is not pleasant. It's not fair,
Mhm.
and like, and I'm either like holding myself so still so that I don't like spasm, which is not fun for anyone, or it's like
Flailing.
or I've smacked someone in
Have
a
you actually
reaction.
smacked someone before?
Yes. Not like across the face,
Right.
but like the reaction is like,
Just
get it
like
off me. Like, you know, if a bug
involuntary
lands on you,
Yeah.
yes, it's an involuntary reaction. It's not pleasant. It's not fun. It does not build trust.
No, I imagine not.
So for the lovers in my past who accidentally got hit, I apologize. I apologized in the moment too, but this is post-mortem on that. Also those relationships, which is why I'm able to talk about it.
There you go.
So yeah, I don't talk about people I'm actually fucking actively.
Right.
Like no one who's in my bed currently is mentioned in this podcast.
No.
So if you're wondering, people who I sleep with, if this is you, it's not. Don't worry. We'd have to like only in the event of a breakup are you mentioned on the podcast. So enjoy your sense of safety now. Bringing it back.
Right.
So when I'm reading about soft caresses with the tips of fingers, like
Yeah.
I'm already like I feel it's so gross to me.
Immediate ick.
Immediate ick factor, like immediate like like I just want to throw the book away. And so
Yeah.
it took me a while to find them, but I will say that there's everything. It's the rule 30 whatever it is. If it exists, there's porn of it. If it exists, someone has written the romance novel. Someone loves that. Someone's excited about it. So if
Yeah.
you want to read about like a woman getting fisted by another woman, you are more than welcome to. That is out there. You can enjoy that. If you want rough sex, if you want strap-ons, if you want hands, if you want like anything you want, you can find.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit of digging. But if what attracts you to romance is penis, then you're not a queer romance reader. You are an reader. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
But you have to understand that you're not reading queer romance. You're reading the romance equivalent of lesbian porn for straight dudes. So for those of us who want to read and champion queer stories, make sure that you are also searching out the stories that involve the genitalia you don't prefer. FF, NB, transhumans. You'd never want to fuck them in real life, but you want to read about them getting fucked. And if you have a preference unlike me, and you're like, I've tried but everything's so rough and I like it gentle, there are lighter spiced romances out there.
Oh, absolutely.
That are either just less described or like loving and sweet and adorable. And good for them. Gay men deserve loving, sweet, adorable sex too.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just,
everyone does at some point.
If you want it.
If you want it. Yes.
If you want it. So this podcast episode is really focused on this little genre of supposedly queer romance that is actually written for straight women. There's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-mm.
I do not fault them. Did I love Shiver? Yes, I did. Do I kind of also love Chokehold? Yes, I did. I fucking loved it. So it was so dark and spicy and good. And Step Brothers. Will I read for the fans? Yes, I will.
Yes.
But I also read Ashley Herring Blake and Alexandria Belfleur and Carmen Lee. I'm looking at the ones that I just bought. Oh, Jasmine Guillory just wrote an FF romance, Flirting Lessons. Like, there are so many out there. And I read to experience the breadth of humanity, which includes queer humans. And so I read about the breadth of humanity, even though MMF is my favorite.
Right.
I will always read MMF. If you have an MMF you like, send it my way. I will always read it. But if all I read was MMF, if all I read was MM, then I'm not championing queer stories. I'm looking for things that fit my preferences when it comes to intimacy. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, let me just, again, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Unless you are claiming to be a champion of queer stories. You're not.
Right. Yeah.
Just take that little bit of introspection about it.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point is queer sexuality is a spectrum. 100%.
Yes. Gender is a spectrum. Sexuality is a spectrum. All of it.
Yeah. So if you are failing to include parts of that spectrum into your reading or enjoyment of art, you are not fully experiencing the overall humanity of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. So this is, the reason I bring it up is because it is a thing that exists in the world where people will be like, I love queer. Oh, only MM. Then just say MM. Don't say queer. Like, if what you're, ask for what you want and be okay with that, because there's nothing wrong with liking what you like unless you're lying about it.
Exactly.
And then you're in the wrong for lying. Nobody else is in the wrong for misunderstanding you.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
Thank you. I feel like we mentioned a lot of good queer stories.
Yes.
Is that true? Is there anything else that I should add?
The one that came to my brain the whole time we were talking was Cleat Cute, because I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, Meryl Wilsner's next book, My Best Friend's Honeymoon, comes out on Tuesday.
Ooh.
Which is, if you want to watch two women fucking fuck hard, that book, just like the entire middle section of it,
really
is like, there's squirting, there's like, I'd be fisting you if we had lube, there's like, I want you to lick my asshole, there's like everything.
I got goosebumps. Damn.
Because I was looking through my arc of that for the Forearms episode for the membership. And I was like, oh, that's right. Like, because I was just looking at all the things I highlighted. And one of them was like, will you lick my asshole?
I love that that's highlighted. I also love how you just shouted
it. Well, it's shouted in the book.
Is it really? Oh, well, that makes sense. So, if they're in the middle of,
No, it's not even that. It's like you have to ask for what you want. And she says it like really soft. And then she's like, no, hold on. Let me find it now. And so Ginny's like, no, you have to ask for things. Yeah, I think you squirted. What? Elsie scrambles out of bed. There's a wet spot the size of a basketball on the sheets. That's really a thing? Yeah.
Aww.
Oh, it comes out all one word instead of a sentence. Will you look at my asshole? What was that? No, No, Elsie snaps, but she does not look down at them. That's not fair. There wasn't a rule that I had to say it slowly or look at you while I said it. I'm supposed to get what I want as long as I ask, and I want your tongue on my asshole.
That is amazing.
Now, let's just like have a moment. Like, I'm reading an arc, so that might be edited slightly in the final version.
Yes.
But it was a great moment for me.
That's beautiful. I love it.
I don't know if it should end up in this episode at all, because I don't know if it has anything to do with that. But if you're looking for a book that is the breadth of humanity, it is also not FF, it is FNB, because Ginny, the best friend, one of the best friends, is non-binary. So, sorry. But it includes, like, it's queer, so read it. It's two vulvas. If you want to read about two vulvas. Yes. There's also a really wonderful moment about, like, can I call it a pussy? And Ginny's like, why not? She goes, it feels really gendered. I didn't know if you had a thing about that.
Oh, okay. That is, like, weirdly really sweet.
It's very sweet. It's really very sweet. That's the end of this episode. I hope that this gave you something to think about, something to look for when you're reading, to expand your horizons, or to just own what you like, but use words that actually describe you instead. And if you have questions or comments, you can always leave them. You can always reach out to me. This is a discussion that I think is really important to have.
Yeah.
See you next week. Bye. Jace Reads Romance is a 3 Paws Productions podcast. Produced by Sephie, edited by Michael Achenbach. Our theme song is written and performed by Diana Weishauer. For show notes and more, head to www.jacereadsromance.com. That's JAYCE Reads Romance. Follow us on socials at Jace Reads Romance everywhere. For more exclusive content, visit us on Substack, where you'll find extended episodes, bonus episodes, and more. Have a question, story, or book recommendation you know I'll love? Email Jace at jacereadsromance.com or call and leave a voicemail at 661-JACE-RR. That's 661-529-2377. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. And as always, this is Jace, holding space for you.